Evening. I'm Captain Jerry Hale with the Smith Mountain Lake Water Safety Council. I'm out here on the water tonight to talk about night boating and safe night boating. With me on board are Eric Cheney, retired Navy captain, who's also chairman of the Water Safety Council, and Chris Betchler. And Chris is retired Coast Guard and also is the manager of the Crazy Horse Marina here at the lake. Between us, we hope to tell you some things that'll help you when you're out on the water after dark. Let's face it, with summer weather on us, boaters at SML are more likely to be out in the evening and find themselves heading home after dusk and as it starts to get a little bit dark. They've enjoyed perhaps a glorious sunset, or they've been out to one of the 15 eateries that you can reach by water on Smith Mountain Lake. A run back home as nightfall sets in can be a little bit intimidating for boaters who aren't often out after dark. Even experienced captains on SML will tell you the lake looks very different after dark than it does in daylight. So let's review a few things that you can do to make that last leg of your journey safer and less stressful. We'll start with Eric.
First point we want to bring to you tonight is to make sure that you're wearing a life jacket at all times in a boat, especially after dark. If you happen to go into the water, it's going to take a lot longer for someone to find you in the dark than it is during the day. So make sure you have a life jacket on. It'll keep you floating. The second point I want to bring up is navigation lights. Make sure that you have your navigation lights on and test them before you actually get underway. And then the good rule of thumb is if the channel markers are blinking, the navigation lights should be on.
Next point, you'll find navigating in the dark much easier if you're on a part of the lake that you regularly travel during the day. Features are familiar with will look different at night or in low light, but your chances of staying oriented are much greater if you're traveling a familiar course. Nighttime is not the time to go exploring unfamiliar coves or channels.
Next, every captain should assign another pair of eyes to help spot channel markers and hazard markers and determine the direction of other moving vessels, which can get a little bit difficult after dark, and keep track of familiar shoreline features. Post that person, assign that person, and locate them within easy hearing distance of the skipper over the noise of the engine, and give them a strong flashlight so they can illuminate something that might be in the water ahead or anything that they can't detect in the darkness.
The next point we want to bring to you is to make sure that the skipper and the lookout are both sober during the return trip home. Please make sure that you're drinking non-alcoholic beverages before you take on these serious tasks, whether you're out for a sunset cruise or even out for dinner at one of our 15 restaurants here on the lake.
Travel at slower speeds after dusk and much slower speeds after dark. This gives the skipper and the lookout more time to evaluate any potentially dangerous situation that may develop and take evasive actions as necessary to avoid a collision.
Okay, one final point for keeping that night boating outing safe and stress-free and enjoyable. Remember when you leave home to put some lights on at the dock. If you're leaving your private dock, switch the lights on, even if it's 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And that way, when you return home, your spot will be illuminated that you're coming back to. It makes getting into your slip or against your dock much easier, and it makes getting people off the boat after the evening much easier and safer as well. You know, boating after dark can be a delightful conclusion to an outing, but it requires some extra care. Remember these night boating tips and keep yourself and your loved ones safe and having fun out there.